knowing nothing what you might ask me. So I want to hit a timeout on that conversation just because I haven't talked to you before.
Sure. Yeah.
So like, what's your name?
I'm Varun.
Say again.
V-A-R-U-N. Varun.
V-A-R-U-n, Varun. I have to see it in my mind. All right, good. I have to see it.
What's your name?
I'm Evan. Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Would you actually pull the chair closer to me? Is that
Sure.
okay? Sorry about that.
No, you're
Okay. So what did you want to ask about?
Well, like I always pass this like little booth that you guys have on my way to campus, but I had some time to kill today and I saw the sign.
Yeah.
So
I changed my sign today. What'd you think?
The
other one didn't catch your attention?
What was the other one?
Well, it has a list of things that I believe, like Jesus is God and God exists and abortion is wrong and marriage is male-female.
I think I saw that, but I think like whenever you're driving past, it's hard to read all the words.
Okay, yeah, I know.
The other one's more like eye-catching.
Yeah, yeah. It is a radical position that a fetus is a human being. Pretty wild, right?
Yeah. So like, I don't actually necessarily dispute that, but like I'm just kind of curious. Like, why do you? What is your definition of what is defined as human?
Well, like begets like. So cats, when they mate and they have a baby, it's a cat, right?
Right.
And dogs, when they mate and have a baby, it's a dog, right?
Sure.
So humans, they mate and they have a
baby.
A human.
Yeah, a human.
Yeah, that's it. So it's a pretty simple position.
Okay. So, like, I'm assuming from that sign, like, the position is, like, anti-abortion, right? Because, like, a fetus is a human being, therefore it shouldn't be killed.
Yeah.
But I think there's, like, a missing link there, because, like, you've proven that, like, well, not proven, like, you define a human being as, like, a fetus as a human being, but, like, I think...
Well, you're using the word fetus, just a fancy word for baby, right?
Isn't it like a baby that hasn't been born yet? It's like in the womb still, but like...
I mean, embryo, zygote, fetus, these are just Latin words to denote different times of pregnancy, but when you're talking about the ontological nature of a thing, humans beget humans.
Alright.
So when do you think... So you know my position already.
Yeah.
When do you think a human being gets rights, and why?
Well, I think that a human being gets rights whenever, like, they're fully developed. Like, I think that's, like, the point that I...
Like when they're, like, 18, ready to go off to college?
Probably, like, third trimester, like, of a pregnancy,
Oh,
I would say.
that kind of fully developed.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people disagree with you about what developed is,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
but
so
like,
who gets to decide? Why do you get to decide?
Well, it's not necessarily up to me. I think
Well, you vote, don't you?
Well, yeah, true.
No, so it is up to you.
Okay, sure. Like, you're asking for my own personal definition. But, like, I think the question here, though, is that, like, why does, like, the rights of a fetus matter more than, like, the rights of, like, the woman carrying the fetus to term? Like, I think
I didn't say her rights don't matter. I just don't think she possesses the right to kill her child. No parent has a right to kill their child. Why do you specially plead for a pregnant woman to be able to have the right to kill her child? That's special pleading.
Well, like, for me, I think, like, I define moral value of, like, a being as, like, whenever it has, like, higher level conscious, right? And I think this is something that intuitively we all do as humans. Like, every time you use hand sanitizer, right, you're killing billions of bacteria, which are technically life, right? They're life forms. But the reason we don't value bacterial life, or, like, maybe, like, the life of insects as much as we do value the life of mammals.
So, like, unborn babies are like bacteria.
Then let me finish,
okay.
Right? That's not the point I'm trying to make here.
All right.
But, like, I'm saying that, like, a mother is like a fully formed conscious being, right? Like, whatever happens to her...
What is consciousness?
Yeah, but it's like a fully formed, higher level conscious being.
I'm just asking you, though. You're using the word conscience, and nobody actually knows what that means. Not even people with PhDs or neurobiology and study consciousness their whole life. They couldn't even tell you. They certainly don't agree. Get 3 neurobiologists together and say, what is consciousness? They have no idea. They certainly don't agree.
Do you remember when I told you to look up the brain organoids thing?
Can I have you on camera?
Yeah, sure. Dude, is my
okay.
Fine?
Okay, you're good. Brain organoids.
Yeah, so do you remember when I told you to look up the brain organoid study?
No.
Okay, so I think you definitely should. It's a whole study on consciousness, right? So, like, what do we consider a conscious, lucid, aware of your decisions being? And so what we did is we took...
Okay, so let me ask this then. So let's say I agree with you. Is a 1-day-old baby more conscious than a baby that was in the womb the day before?
I think that, like, I think what you're doing here is you're trying to, like force me into a place where it's like, oh, this is, like, the moment wherever, like, it becomes consciousness.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
But,
yes, you got it.
Well, like, I don't think that necessarily has to have, like,
but that's
an
your
accurate
standard for when a
definition.
human being deserves life. So that you have to be able to define your standard. Otherwise, you could be implicitly guilty for the murder of children.
So back to consciousness.
Yeah, tell me what consciousness is.
So we took cells from brains and we start growing them in petri dishes, and they're called brain organoids. We have a bunch of different organoids. That's how we do research on, like, oh, does this affect this certain organ? We do it on a small scale, not a real person. So what we did was
Who's we?
I would have to find you.
Okay, all right, okay. It's like a university, a research something. Okay.
It's a university. So what we did is we took these cells and we start growing them in a petri dish, and then I don't know if you know this, but one of the, like, universal is this thing conscious tests is to make a play pong against a computer AI.
Okay.
These petri dish cells can successfully beat a computer in pong. So what is the level of conscious
I would
awareness?
love to see that test.
No, please look this up.
You're saying in a petri dish there are brain cells that replicate.
Yeah.
And they can play pong.
Yes. I read about that. That actually.
So this has been going on for years. I've been following this for years. It is super interesting study.
All that does is make me even more. I am more radically pro-life at this very moment than I have ever been.
But
wow, you're saying cells have consciousness, and yet we are talking about dismembering 8-month-old developed fetuses. That is wild.
These brain cells are being taken from fully matured adults.
Yeah.
Well,
what happens?
Doing the same thing with fetal brain cells.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Okay.
So there is a gestation, right? And I'm like, we could call it third trimester, we could call it birth, but at a certain point, your brain starts firing in ways that it wasn't.
So basically,
that's what we call consciousness.
You discriminate then against people who are not as fully formed as other people, but if you had allowed them to live, they would have become that developed. Is that right?
Yes.
If a fetus was allowed to be born and develop, it would achieve the level of consciousness that would be worthy of life, right?
So two things.
Well, no. Let me ask I have a series of questions. So it would become worthy of life then, right?
Yeah, there's potentiality there. Yeah.
Okay, so isn't it wrong? Isn't it morally wrong then to interrupt that organic flow of progress? Like, why isn't that wrong? Like, why is it acceptable to murder? It's like, well, if I murder it before it knows I'm murdering it, then it's okay, even though if I didn't do anything.
And that's one of those things where you tell me that I'm asking you questions that are meant to make you look bad.
Yeah.
You're asking.
Yeah, I'm loading in the meaning.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like loaded. Okay. But like I think like that's like besides the point, right? Like I think that even though there's potentiality, it isn't true in the current moment, right? Like I think if your definition of a human being is just like a fully formed like set of chromosomes, right? Why does not like a skin cell have like a moral value? Like is it wrong to exfoliate? Because like you're killing skin.
I think that's the partial to whole fallacy. The idea that the partial has equal value to the whole, etc.
Okay.
Nobody would believe that. Nobody would say, oh no, a skin cell fell when I scratched myself and died. I'm going to have a funeral for it.
Well, yeah, no one would say that, but like,
has anyone ever thought it? Has anyone in the pro-life community ever said to you that there's an equivocation between cells and life?
I don't know.
Well, they probably never thought of it.
Maybe.
Like, I mean, now that you're thinking about it, sure. Like, it's a part of a human being, not the whole, right?
Yeah.
But I think the same. Like, you're right. Like, obviously, when someone exfoliates, you're not gonna be like, hey, like, it's murder, right? And the reason for that is because it's not just like the fact that it's like human or it has human DNA that gives it value, right? The value that we, I think, give to other beings comes from like how much experience they have, how much consciousness they have. That's why we're okay like killing like a cow.
Fine. Yeah,
right?
I'm okay with killing cows.
Yeah,
so
like,
I can eat them. So
exactly. Because we don't think they have enough consciousness as like a fully formed human being.
So
and wait, let me just like finish my train of thought, right? Like a fetus is, I think, kind of analogous in the sense that like, yeah, sure, there's potentiality, right? But in this current moment, it doesn't have the same level of consciousness as like a fully formed human adult, right? And that's why we tend to value human adults. And you're like, well, it's going to, right? I mean, that's not. First of all, it's not guaranteed.
What about a fully formed adult who's in a terrible car wreck and loses his faculties? He has to wear diapers. He can't speak. He doesn't know where he is, doesn't recognize his mom and dad anymore.
That's a quality of life debate.
I think the distinction...
Is it? It's a consciousness debate. I mean, wouldn't you say that that person lost consciousness in any meaningful sense? Isn't consciousness self-awareness? Isn't that part of it? What if a person loses that, having once had it? Do they lose their value?
Do you think that we should keep brain dead people alive just because their body is fully formed?
I think there is no set definition of brain dead.
Oh, okay. So we disagree with science altogether there.
Scientists disagree. This is my point. This is my point. You're assuming that among all neurosurgeons that... Are you leaving?
No, I'm just going to water.
Oh, okay. You're assuming that like all neuroscientists agree on what brain dead even is. There are lots of stories of people who are declared brain dead and come back to life. Now, am I saying... No, I actually believe in natural death.
Okay.
Okay, so I am not necessarily for... I'm actually barely even for like, do not resuscitate orders and stuff like that. Like, I think if it's your time, it's your time. I have no problem with people dying.
You don't think we should put like people on ventilators? And, like,
well, it would depend. It would depend. Every single health situation is unique to that person.
I think that's a good point.
Let me give an example though. For me, if I have a good chance of attaining quality of life, and if I'm temporarily placed on a ventilator, I can be kept alive, and surgery can be performed, I can be brought back to life after a traumatic event, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But like, if I'm not going to get back to that place, it's okay to let me die.
Yeah, I'm like you're sitting in a bed and there's nothing firing up here.
But like in the case of say Terry Schiavo, which brought this to a fore before y'all were probably even born, I believe she did have a certain quality of life. Her parents volunteered to take care of her, but her husband wanted her to die for whatever reason. So I think it's a case-by-case basis. But I still want to know what consciousness is and when we get it and why that is the hallmark of when life is worthy of protection. I want to just get that, but if you want to ask one more question.
So I think... Two questions related to the consciousness thing that he brought up with the why are we, putting unborn fetuses' life against the woman.
That's never a conflict.
If your wife...
How it's not a conflict?
...was going to die in birth, and they were like, but we can save the baby if we let her die. Because this is a real scenario that a lot of people lose their wives, their mothers to this. If your wife
was going to
die... Okay. If your wife was going to die in birth, but they were like, hey, we can save the baby, but if we try and save her, it's very likely that we're going to lose the baby. Would you let your wife die just to keep that baby?
Okay. That's an ethical dilemma. Has nothing to do with the abortion debate at all.
Abortion is ethical. That is an ethical dilemma.
It's not an ethical dilemma.
Ethics against mine.
An ethical dilemma is when you have two choices, neither of which is an ideal outcome. Abortion isn't that at all. Most abortions are desired. Most abortions are essentially a form of birth control.
I'm guessing you've never met someone who's had an abortion.
I've met lots of people who've had abortions.
So did any of them tell you why they had abortions?
Yeah.
And what were some of the reasons?
Didn't want to be a mom.
Yeah.
Would interrupt with my college life. Mm-hmm. Would interrupt with my career life.
So all reasonable. It's going to affect the life of the woman who is being forced to carry.
Is that
something.
Reasonable?
Yeah.
By whose standard?
I think if biological men, could get pregnant, we wouldn't have a problem with whether or not you have the right to an abort.
Okay, hang on. We're getting off track. Okay, first of all, the life of the mother is an exception that everyone in the pro-life community is willing to make.
Everyone? Are you sure?
I don't know I've never met a single pro-lifer, including the most hardcore abolitionists, who don't say, yeah, if the life of the mother is at stake, and now there are some mothers who would say, let me die, let my baby live.
Well, but that's her choice.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that should be something that a mom and dad communicate.
Yeah,
husband and wife communicate.
The woman's choice, not yours. You're not in her body.
Well, but you're asking me what I would do. And I'm saying maybe my wife and I have talked about that.
Because you think that you have a right to make the choices, right?
So
you put yourself
No.
So you just sat there and you said, I protested until I got a Planned Parenthood
first of all,
down.
First of all, it's an ethical...
You think it's your right to make these choices for people.
Do I think it's my right to protect the vulnerable? Yes.
You call it protect the vulnerable. That's another question.
Aren't babies vulnerable?
To make somebody... Is a fetus vulnerable? That's the conversation.
Is a fetus vulnerable?
I think
Second question. What are you
Wait, I want to go back to the
children
ethical
in
dilemma.
Foster care.
It's irrelevant.
Irrelevant. So it doesn't matter after the baby's out of the womb.
No. Okay. Are you going to be an honest interlocutor or not?
This is an honest. I want to know.
Okay.
Does it matter after the baby is out of the womb?
Let me ask clarifying question. Of course. How many? Of course. Are you asking me if I have not done enough for foster kids? Does that give me no moral authority to speak for abortion?
If you care so much about what's happening to the world's babies, what are you doing for the world's babies who are already out in the world and suffering?
Well, none of that would be germane. For all you know, I spend 50 hours a week volunteering at a pro-life pregnancy center. It wouldn't matter because I'm making logical arguments. We're talking about the nature of things. We're not necessarily talking about what I personally do. I happen to be on the board, have been on several boards for pregnancy centers, yes, and there are 3 times as many pregnancy centers as there are abortion clinics, which is Christians voluntarily putting their money where their mouth is. There's one right behind you over there of people that provide baby formula, diapers, cribs, car seats, clothing, classes, resources, love, free sonograms, all of that at no charge to people.
But what about the women who are like...
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, no, I'm saying...
Okay, so could you repeat it back so I know you heard it?
You're going to these clinics who are helping new mothers make sure that they're taking care of their babies, right?
So your argument is going to be you don't care about the baby after it's born, and I just told you that there are 3 times as many pregnancy centers that do help people that have born babies.
But there are other things that happen after someone has a baby. She goes, okay, well, I couldn't have this baby and I wasn't allowed to get an abortion, so I can't keep this kid. I can't keep this kid. I'm putting the kid up for foster care. That kid gets put into the foster care
or
system.
adoption.
That's the same thing. You do understand that they go through the same system, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same system. You can call it different things, but so she's like, well, I have to put my kid up for adoption. I have to give it over to the state because I can't take care of this kid.
I'm not sure how this is germane to the abortion argument, but go ahead.
What do we do for those mothers who are like, well, I can't keep this kid, and I was forced to bring this life into this world?
But no one forces you to have sex, unprotected sex.
Oh, this is true, but what about the people who didn't want to have sex?
Again, that's the great thing's a 1 in a million chance. But most people who do have abortions don't want to be moms, or they had unprotected sex and they want to get rid of the kid because they don't want to be responsible.
I was a product of my mother was on birth control and used a condom and actively used a contraceptive after the fact. So she went through everything.
Man, you should be so thankful to God.
No, I fucking hate it here. She went through every possible cautionary to
except
make
abstinence.
Sure.
Good point.
I'm not gonna blow.
Do you know that every fire station is a safe baby drop-off place?
Do you know what happens to those babies afterwards?
So you're saying that unless a child has an ideal life according to your standard, we should kill it?
No. Unless the child isn't suffering, why should we force them to bring that child into the world?
Because you make a decision when you have sex. That's going to happen. There's no way around it.
But even if it's a 1 in a million chance, which it's not, that is an incorrect statistic.
Okay, if I agreed with you about unwanted pregnancies, would you agree on me on the other 98%?
What's the other 98%?
People having sex, choosing to have an abortion.
I think that there is an act of responsibility there. Yeah, I mean, if
act of
you
responsibility to do what?
know that you shouldn't be having children, yeah, maybe you should abstain from sex.
Oh, okay.
But
well, my guess is, though, you would never actually advocate for that.
Who says I wouldn't?
Do you?
I don't have sex because I don't want to have a kid.
Okay. But are you critical of the, I don't know, whatever we call it these days, the free love movement, the hookup culture where people are?
I also just don't think it's my right to police what other people do with their bodies.
Yeah, so we're kind of right back where we started then.
Yeah.
So like basically, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do.
And you don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, science would say that a new life begins at fertilization.
No.
Yeah. Okay, I want to go back to my friend here.
Yeah.
So I do have to leave because I've got that interview.
All right.
So.
It was fun. Good luck with the interview.
Thanks.
Okay, I think earlier we were talking about how much consciousness is required for moral value, right? And you brought up the argument of someone in a coma.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, not necessarily a coma. I said someone with mental development issues.
Mental development.
Whatever we call that these days.
Yeah. I don't know if that's completely analogous to like a fetus that's inside the womb, because like if someone were to kill someone with a severe mental disability, right? That person's life did not actually impede on your own, right? It did not infringe on your own. So it's like the same reason why you can't randomly going around killing I think in some places killing squirrels are banned.
Whereas a child impedes on a parent's life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you're so right about that, let me tell you. You know, I got to pay for piano lessons. I got to take them to school. I got to feed them.
Yeah, exactly.
My life is impeded. You know, my life should really be all about me, don't you think?
Well, if you want it to be, sure.
Yeah. There's a word for that. What is it when someone is self-consumed? They think of themselves only. What is the word? Do you know the word for that?
I mean, I think you're trying to like create like a negative connotation around. Like,
No! I'm trying to directly state it's an extremely negative connotation that someone who goes through life saying, "Oh, my life is mine, and I don't want to be impeded by a child," has a very warped understanding of the reason they were created. Very warped. Selfish is the word. And so I would seek to.
Well, if your argument then is that it's like, oh, it's just selfish. I mean, you're just like, I don't know if that's like, the strongest like philosophical like argument.
Really?
Against.
The philosophers didn't speak of generosity or charity. The philosophers didn't deride selfishness. Tell me the philosopher
I think we're getting kind of
values selfishness.
Off track here, right?
Machiavelli, great moral philosopher.
Yeah.
Ayn Rand,
I think
great moral philosopher.
Nietzsche also like kind of
another one.
Yeah.
Man, these are the greatest moral philospers of all time.
Yeah, I mean,
led to some of the worst.
Extent, right?
Led to some of the most dehumanizing campaigns of all time.
Nietzsche? I don't.
Yeah, no,
necessarily
because
know about that.
Yeah, the Ubermensch and all that.
There's a direct link that Hitler and Himmler were influenced by Nietzsche, and who was influenced by Machiavelli. And Machiavelli was basically powers, authority, powers, the greatest thing in the world. And
Are you Christian?
No.
Are you religious?
No.
Not at all.
No.
You ever studied Jesus at all? Or?
Not super deeply, but like, I know a decent amount about it. Obviously, I actually do have I think I have a lot more deeper thoughts about religion, but I do think that maybe we could do that for another time. I just kind of focus on like the abortion thing right now, just because we're like, you know, it's like I want the conversation to get too derailed, right?
Sure.
I was just like thinking like whenever like towards like the argument, right, where it's actually, you know what, talking to the other person, you were saying something kind of interesting, right? Like if a mother's life is threatened, do you think that the mother has the right, like just as a hypothetical situation, right? Because the mother has a right to protect her own life if it means killing the life of the infant.
I mean, again, it's a moral dilemma. Do you know the movie Sophie's Choice?
No.
You ever heard of that movie?
I'm unaware.
So it's an older movie. I think it's set in the Holocaust where a woman has 2 children and she has to choose between her children which one will she put to death or not.
Okay.
That's what you call an ethical dilemma.
Right.
Is she wrong for choosing her child A?
Yeah.
She has to choose one, right? So she's not wrong, right?
Okay.
Okay. If she doesn't choose one, they'll kill both, right?
Okay.
So what you're describing is an ethical dilemma,
Right.
where someone is going to die. So it's a question of if you value the mother or the child more.
I mean, you're right. It's I think a lot of things in philosophy are ethical dilemmas.
Okay,
right?
but abortion is not. Abortion is when a woman and a man willfully take the life of a child unnecessarily. It is the willful, unnecessary killing of a child.
But in the situation where a mother's life is threatened, it's
okay, fine, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think what you
see you, man.
Yeah, I think what you've conceded there is that there is a situation in which killing the life of a human being is permissible, right?
Okay, but it's like 1 in a million.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's statistically unlikely, but we're talking about philosophy here, right? Like, philosophers use hypotheticals, they use, like, situations all the time.
I got you.
So
what about my hypothetical? Can I give you one?
Me again.
Well, a 20-year-old woman has sex with lots of people, doesn't know who the dad is, doesn't want to have a kid, is 4 months pregnant, and goes to an abortion clinic and kills her child. Right or wrong?
I think it's permissible.
How?
Well, because as I was saying earlier, we give value to human beings whenever they're fully developed.
Well, you do. I don't.
Okay. Well, you don't.
I give them the value on the path to consciousness, because even a 1-day-old baby isn't conscious in the way that I'm conscious.
Right. Okay.
Right. So, are you in favor of killing 1-day-old babies that were just born?
Well, just out of curiosity,
yes or no?
If
just answer the question.
No.
Okay. Why?
Yeah.
They don't have consciousness.
They do have consciousness, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do they get consciousness the day they're born? They didn't have any before?
Right. I think this is going back to where I define consciousness, right? On the spectrum.
I'm still willing to hear that.
I'm just gonna a little bit, like, before I answer that, though, I just want to know a little bit about what your spectrum is, right? So why is an egg or like a sperm not considered? Or do you consider that to be life?
No.
No, why not?
I mean, life has a definition. Human life A new human life begins when sperm and egg fertilize. That's just the definition of life. That's what any embryologist would tell you.
Yeah, I mean,
is there one doctor that would equate a sperm to a fertilized egg?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Most biologists, like, well, actually, yeah, like a super majority of biologists agree that like life starts at like.
It's not even agreement. It's just a fact.
Yeah, yeah, sure. It's just a fact, right?
Okay.
But also, a lot of them are also, majority are also pro-abortion too. Like, and I think the reason why they have both those beliefs simultaneously is kind of like what I was going back to, in that, like, you know, it's not just like the fact that it's a life, right? It's like, what is the moral value, like at what stage, right? So, yeah, sorry, continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's a continuum, right? From fertilized egg to me today. It's an unbroken chain.
Right.
That one action begets another.
Right.
One division of cells, you know, 1 becoming 2, 2 becoming 4, 4 becoming 8. It's an unbroken chain until I become me.
Sure.
Okay, so who are you to come and decide that I'm going to break that continuum? Why do you have that right?
Well, if it impacts my own life, I think I would have that right. You know,
children,
like
everything impacts your life. I mean, this conversation right now is impacting your life.
Fair enough.
I mean, having a child and thinking it's a blessing is going to impact your life in a good way. Like, just because a child is inconvenient, does that give us the right to kill it? They get more inconvenient, right?
True.
Like, imagine when they're 1.5 and they can't feed themselves and they throw food all over the floor. Or like, for example, my daughter got into the, the butt paste. You know, you put on a baby's diaper when they have diaper rash, and she got into that and she wiped it all over her door, all over the walls, all over the bed. You ever gotten like lotion out of like paint and walls and it's a pain in the butt, right?
It sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't trade it, right? Like, I didn't kill my kid over it.
Okay. So sure. Like, I think like you raise a really good point.
Like,
right?
why? See, your perspective, like your presupposition, seems to be that children are like a burden, and what I'm trying to tell you is that they're a joy.
Be.
Well, yeah. Like, my car is a burden, but it gets me places. But sometimes I have to change the oil, and sometimes the battery dies, and sometimes I have to pay a lot for car insurance. So my house is a burden, but I have a roof over my head every night. I'm telling you, though, that in life there are burdens and there are joys, and children are a joy. Your presupposition should be that children are a blessing from God. But if you don't believe in God, if all we are is matter, honestly, your view of abortion for an atheist is not nearly radical enough. On atheism, there's no reason to believe what I believe about abortion. The only reason you should believe what I believe about abortion is because you're a Christian. So I totally understand that you don't agree with me. I don't think you can make sense of it. You constantly are special pleading for categories of human value like consciousness, which are totally arbitrary. The only way you can give value to human life is going to be arbitrary. Whatever you say, size, location, development, consciousness, whatever, it's going to be arbitrary. You have to live with that. I don't have to live with that because I believe in this continuum. But on atheism, you're committed to materialism. Human beings are no more valuable than a cockroach. I mean, not really. You might create value, but they don't ontologically have any more value than a cockroach. So there's no reason for you not to believe in abortion.
Well, I think that you're like equating atheism with nihilism. I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Okay, so where do you get meaning from atheism?
To be honest, I do not have a full answer to that question yet. I think it's just something that's in progress.
We'll put that on the next conversation too. Okay, but I'm not making a personal judgment against you. I'm saying that on atheism, nihilism is the default position. On atheism, you are committed to naturalism or materialism or physicalism. You know what I mean by that? There's nothing beyond the natural world, right? On atheism, or are you agnostic?
Yeah.
Where like maybe there's some kind of supernatural reality, but I just don't know.
I think you could be both agnostic and atheist. They're not mutually exclusive.
Okay.
In my opinion, because like
I disagree with that, but I understand a lot of people feel that way. Yeah. That's okay. I'm not an expert on those topics. By the way, I really appreciate that you're being a good faith debater. You know.
Yeah, so, I know. Of course, I like to have conversations.
What are you studying? Like philosophy?
No, I'm here for Calculus 3 course.
Calculus 3?
Yeah.
Oh, see, you're way smarter than me. I could barely get out of trigonometry, okay? So, okay. So, yeah, but...
I kind of want to pose something to you, though.
Uh-huh.
This is not necessarily an argument that I have, but it's one that, like, some philosophers make when it comes to abortion. And I might be... I haven't, like, looked it up before I got here, so I might be saying it wrong, but I just want to know your thoughts on it, right? So, like, basically, like, I think there's, like, a premise, right? And this is the setup, is, like like one day you kind of randomly wake up, right, and you see that you're like strapped to a machine, and the machine is connected to like a violinist, right? And
oh yes, this is an old thing.
Yeah, right. So you know the premise.
I don't remember. Go ahead.
Okay.
So you're attached to a violinist.
You're
okay.
attached to a violinist, and like this person comes and tells you, hey, like this violinist had like a kidney disorder and they were going to die.
Okay. So it's like forcible kidney transplant. So you're being forced into a medical situation to keep someone else alive.
Yeah, you're forced.
And that's essentially what forcing someone to give birth is.
It's kind of like, well, the premise is that like the violinist is attached to your kidneys, right?
Yeah.
And like your kidneys are basically filtering their blood as well.
Okay.
And basically you could unplug yourself. That means for sure that the violinist is going to die, but do you have the right to do that, right?
Yeah.
And the equivalency here to abortion is that like, you know, like maybe a fetus is alive and it's inside you, but like if you're able to remove it without harming it at all, would that be acceptable? Because like you're just disconnecting it from your own body, you're not necessarily killing it, but by disconnecting from your own body, the ultimate cause is that it's just going to die, you know? So like, do you think that do you have the right to disconnect from the violinist? And if you do have the right to disconnect from the violinist, do you think that the mother has the right to disconnect her own fetus from her?
All right. It's an interesting thought experiment.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I'm not entitled. For example, I never met you before, 30 minutes ago, right?
Right.
So let's say we're the same blood type and you need a kidney transplant.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to give you my kidney? No, I don't.
No.
I don't think that, I don't think anyone has an absolute right to life in the sense that I believe God can take life, right, at any time. He could take my life right now, and I wouldn't go up to heaven and be like, God, how dare you take my life? He'll be like, sorry, dude, I got the right to take life. But normally in a civic situation, I have a right to life, right?
Okay.
And you have a right to life, and I'm not obligated to sacrifice my life for yours.
Mm-hmm.
I might choose to do that, but I'm not obligated to do that. Whereas the baby is a result of actions taken that result in baby making.
Okay.
And so the idea that that baby having been made, and is a distinct body, right? The kidney is part of my body.
Right.
The child is another body. That's a major flaw in that argument, I think. Do you understand that a baby inside a woman it's inside the woman's body, but it's not the woman's body, right?
It's not the woman's body, but there is like the tube, right?
The umbilical cord.
Yeah, the umbilical cord that
well,
connects it to
okay.
the mother. So like the point is that like just like you're disconnecting your like a tube from your kidneys to the other person, you're disconnecting the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
So I think I agree. Like the embryo is like the whatever the baby, the fetus.
Well, I mean, don't parents have like a special obligation to their children that they wouldn't have to anybody else? Like if I have a child and it's my child, don't we believe that like legally and morally that parents are obligated to care for that child?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, but the parent is not in the same way obligated to care for the neighbor's child, right? So like
Okay.
I feed my children 3 times a day, right? I make sure they go to sleep at night. I help them with their homework. Do I have to do that for the other kid on the block?
Okay, well, I think I could modify the thought experiment because you're saying the different distinction here is that like the fetus is like your own child, therefore you have a special moral obligation to it that you don't have to anyone else.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, suppose the violinist was your own son or your
Yeah.
own daughter, right? And
Yeah.
you woke up, same situation. They're like, hey, you can't be disconnected, otherwise your daughter will die. Are you like, do you have the right then to like disconnect because that person is your own daughter, child?
Would I have the option to die so that she could live? Give her my kidney? Because that's what I would do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what you would do, but I'm saying, does someone have to be morally obligated to do that?
No.
No. So then, what then is the distinction between that?
Well, again, I would say that, I would say to my... This is a horrible thought experiment, obviously.
Yeah,
but
most are.
But yeah, I would say that we can't live this way, right? Like, no, you can't live in such a way where we're going to be strapped to a bed the rest of our lives. That's not life.
Right.
So there needs to be someone sacrificing for the other in that sense, so that one of them could at least lead a life. In the case of a pregnant woman, that baby hasn't even been born yet. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to. There's no one, even though the baby is temporarily dependent on the mother for sustenance, through the umbilical cord, that doesn't give the mother a right to take the life of the child, because there's no extreme circumstance. Under normal circumstances, that child's going to live. Let me ask you this. After a baby is born, they breastfeed, right?
Yeah.
Dependent on the parents for nutrition and life, right? Does the mom have a right to kill that kid?
Yeah, no, because like if you don't feed your kid,
right. So there's really no difference between an umbilical cord being attached and not attached. There's no difference, right? Because you have to feed children. I mean, I still feed my children. They're 14 and 16. I feed them, right? Mm-hmm. I make sure they have food. Now they could make their own macaroni and cheese from time to time. They could make a ham sandwich, but certainly when they're little, I'm running around caring for them nonstop. It's a 24-hour day job.
Yeah.
There's no difference. I mean, you have to make an ontological argument. You know the word ontological, right? It's the nature of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to make an ontological argument that a fetus is ontologically different, like definitionally, naturally different from a born baby. And I have never heard, ever, even watching like all the Charlie Kirk interviews, because he debated this on college campuses all the time, I never heard anybody give a cogent defense of when life begins and why that wasn't arbitrary, other than the pro-life position. I can be consistent. See, I'm consistent from natural birth or from conception to natural death, right? But everyone else has to pick and choose.
And that's and consistency is important when we're talking about morals. So
well, I think so.
Yeah,
or law.
Yeah.
That's why in America, in Texas, abortion is pretty much totally illegal, except for the pill, which is a whole other conversation. But in California, apparently it's illegal up to 9 months. Don't you think that reflects a kind of like moral, I hate to use this phrase, but schizophrenia, in our culture? That's kind of tearing us apart. We don't even know how to value human life.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I'm not a moral relativist. I think if something is wrong anywhere, it should be wrong everywhere.
Now, that's really interesting. We have to add that to video number 4.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like,
okay. Because on atheism, moral relativism is your default position.
I think not in the ones that I've seen, but
Who are the atheists you like?
There's a few YouTube channels and a few philosophers. I can't off the top of my head. I'm a little tired right now.
Fair. Yeah. Understood.
Sam Harris is one. I like Sam Harris.
Oh, okay, interesting. The Moral Universe. Moral Landscape.
The Moral Landscape. I'm reading the book right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think it's a lot of special pleading. The way that he does things, because he's going to ultimately have to appeal to like human flourishing, right? Like that which enables and allows for human flourishing is the good.
I'm not far into the book, but that's the first premise that he did state, yeah.
Okay, so who gets to define human flourishing?
Fair enough, yeah.
So, have you ever watched his debate with William Lane Craig?
I did a few years ago. It's been a while now.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest William Lane Craig fan in the world, but I think Sam Harris got pretty demolished in that debate.
Really? Okay.
I think so. He can't account for anything.
I can't remember that interview, so I'd say debate. So.
Do you think it's wrong to kill people?
Yeah.
You think murder is wrong? I could defend killing. I'm pro death penalty, but okay.
Sure.
We would agree murder is wrong, right?
Yeah.
We would agree we'd agree theft is wrong, right?
Yeah.
All things being equal.
All things being equal, sure.
I mean, I'm not talking about a bicycle thief situation or food from the grocery store to keep my starving kid alive.
Right.
Okay. You would say adultery is wrong.
Yeah.
Do you come from a culture where you honor your parents?
Yeah.
Okay, so me too. So we agree on most moral things. My argument to me is not that you and I don't agree, although we obviously disagree about abortion, but we agree on most moral things. That my argument to you would be that you can't account for why that is the case.
As an atheist, there's no logical foundation
right.
to
it.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 22, 23 right now.
Okay, yeah. So you're pretty young, but you've studied some philosophy, you've studied these issues and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that would be ultimately my main argument, because I do like to talk about abortion because it's a way to talk about the bigger issues. But now we're at the point where you kind of have to talk about the bigger issues,
right?
Because on atheism, there is nothing wrong with abortion. On atheism, honestly, I can't think of a good reason that there's that anything is really off limits, because on atheism, or various forms of Darwinism. It's essentially a matter of survival. And you could say human flourishing, but what if we said to AI, right? AI, and of course 1,000 sci-fi movies have been made about this exactly, right? AI, we want you to control everything from manufacturing to baby making to home building to national treaties and peace and war. We want you to manage all of that for maximal human flourishing. And what if AI says, well, 51% of the population can live and we have to kill the other 49%? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if that is AI's definition of human flourishing? You know, like just a base majority.
So, like, I don't actually have any, like, as I said, like, I don't have any strongly formed opinions. It's something that I'm still, like, looking into, you know? But
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, like, I'm, like...
I appreciate that you were looking.
Yeah, okay. Of course. Like, I think it's, like, okay to say. But, like, I think, like, on just the face of it, like, I'm kind of skeptical of this take that, like, without any sort of, like, you know, Christianity, you can't have any, like, a moral foundation, right? And the reason why I say that is, like, I'm very limited in my philosophical knowledge, but I think of, like, Kant, right? Like, Kant's whole, like, premise for like why like morality exists is that humans are rational beings, right? And because we are rational beings, we understand whenever something's wrong for me, therefore it should be wrong to other people. Basically, the whole idea is that morality comes from the fact that we're rational, right?
Well, in atheism, there's no reason to believe. There's no reason to value reason.
Well,
is reason a product of evolution?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a product of being made in the image of God and living in God's rational, orderly world. So God is, you know, in fact, in the very first page of the Gospel of John, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." That's a reference to Jesus, and you probably know that the Greek word for word there is logos, from which we get the word logic. So basically, you know, the concept is that I'm not reducing like Jesus to like a logical syllogism. What I'm saying is that God brought order to the world. In fact, the very first page, Genesis 1 and John 1 are connected for sure, because John begins in the beginning and Genesis begins in the beginning. And in the beginning, when God created, what did He do? He brought order out of chaos. So you can't believe that you know what's going to happen tomorrow because of your sensorial experience. That would be begging the question. But I can believe that I believe that tomorrow is going to be a lot like today, because this is God's world and it's orderly, it's ordered, it's reasonable, it's rational. So I don't even think reason is an atheist concept. Atheism depends on sensorial experience and essentially a random universe. Isn't that what evolution is? It's bringing order out of randomness?
Yeah.
Okay. Even evolution itself. I mean, if you ever read any of the in any of the intelligent design arguments, even evolution itself would be highly guided by an intelligence.
Why is that the case?
Well, because what tells any one cell to do this to adapt? How does it know? How does a cell know? Is a cell an autonomous being in your body?
Well, I think like
does a cell have consciousness?
Cell does not have consciousness, but I think.
So how do we have consciousness if we're just a clump of cells?
Well, you're asking where consciousness comes from. Yeah, that's
exactly. Yes, this is exactly my point. See, so like Daniel Dennett. Okay, if you like Sam Harris, you should read some Daniel Dennett. He has point of view about consciousness. Other neuroscientists disagree with him about that. So, like, if we can't account for what consciousness is, or where it comes from, or when we get it, or anything else, then like, how can we make that a basis of when we should protect? Well, shouldn't we just protect all life? Like, even if I'm wrong. Like, wouldn't my position still do the least harm? Because I'm not in a debate now about consciousness. I'm not ever extinguishing any conscience. But on your position, a conscience could be extinguished if a conscience is in fact developed after 6 months in the womb, or 5 months in the womb, or 7 months in the womb. If you take a position on when consciousness begins and you're wrong, then that means you're guilty for advocating for a position that ends consciousness. But if I'm wrong, no one's conscience has been ended, because I defend life from fertilization to natural death.
Right, but like other people's conscious experience might get significantly worse. Right?
Like what? Like a parent who has to care for a child?
yeah, maybe it's like can't afford it, or at least
okay.
like not a good parent, right? And which means that the child also, and I mean, this is like all going to like, it's just probability, right? There's also a chance that maybe the parents like, oh, like this is the best thing that ever happened to me, right? Like we just don't know. But
well,
that's why I don't value potentiality as much, because it's just like, you know, you could have been like, oh, this baby's gonna like be the one to cure cancer, right? But it could also have been the one to cause genocide. Like I don't think we could make moral claims based on like what happens in the future.
You ever
like,
see the movie Gladiator?
No, I've not. I've heard of it though.
All right, you got to go. You got to find Gladiator today and watch it. All right.
Okay.
There's a line in the. Actually, I quote the entire 20 minutes of the movie, like first 20 minutes all the time, because there's so many great lines in there. But the emperor Marcus Aurelius of Rome is talking to his daughter, and he says something like. Anyway, they're talking about a son, like having a son. And she says something like, he would have been what you had taught him to be. In other words, the idea that children are blank slates and they could become a genocidal maniac, or they could become, the guy who cures cancer. Well, they would be what you taught them to be. That's what I think. I think that we have a duty as parents to teach our children virtues, right? To educate our children, to provide for our children, right? So they don't become crazy people. Now, you could do all that, and they could still,
yeah, like what if
commit
they have,
harm.
Like,
but we don't know that. We don't know that.
Exactly.
That's why having children is an act of faith.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it is, but like yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. It's
You don't
pretty
know what's gonna
scary.
happen.
Getting married is an act of faith, right?
Right.
Okay, so don't be afraid. Go. I mean, this is what again Charlie Kirk once again said. It's what he's become known for, right? Get married, have children, live a faithful life. Go produce. Go take life by the storm. Not like, oh, I don't know what might happen. Maybe my kid will be a serial killer, so I better not. So I better kill my kid so he doesn't become a killer. You realize that's pretty wild, right? You wouldn't put it quite like that.
Yeah, no, that's like a false. That's a false conclusion. Like,
I understand. I understand, but if you say things like, well, but a kid could turn into this or that, it's like, well, why don't you just say, I'm going to have a kid and then I'm going to teach them what they ought to be? Yeah,
I mean, like, I think, like, we're getting a little off track, but I think it's fine, actually, because I just have some thoughts on this. I think, like, basically what you're distilling down here is, like, the future is uncertain. You should approach it with, like, positivity and stuff like that, which I think is, like, good. I think I would probably be in that camp, but I think it's also okay when people aren't in the camp, because I think that both are just, like, equally valid positions, right? It's like, now it's just, like an opinion, right? It's just an opinionative statement about, like, how you view life, how you view marriage and stuff like that, how you view children. And I just don't see, like, one is necessarily, like, better than the other.
I would say it's more than opinion, because I believe God is sovereign, and because I trust in God that He works out all things to the good for those who believe in Him, even in the face of death. Like, we believe in life after death. We believe that someone's legacy can be more powerful when they're dead than when they're alive. So I'm ultimately hopeful. I'm hopeful in all things. I'm hopeful in life after death. I'm hopeful that if people become Christian, that they'll live virtuous lives and build a better world, right? Yeah. I mean, don't you think that this culture is actually, like, definitionally, at least a percentage of it, nihilistic? I see that. People wandering through life, no purpose, no meaning, like no joy, no hope, depressed, maybe even violent.
Like, the way that I would answer that, it probably goes more into conversation too, which we should have some other time.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, you were asking me, is it like nihilist? Like, is it nihilistic?
Do you think nihilism is more present today than it was 50 years ago in America?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's all. That's my only point.
Yeah.
So why is that? I mean, fewer people believe in God.
Yeah, correlation isn't causation, though. I think also, like, a good reason why people are more nihilistic now is because, like, life is just, like, worse now than it was, like, a few years ago, in terms of, like...
Really?
I think so.
Well, like, homes are more expensive, that sort of thing?
Yeah, homes are more expensive. I think that, like, the stuff we do nowadays are just not, like, meaningful. Like, people are, like, addicted to social media, to, like, their phones and stuff like that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, like, I think that if we were to solve those problems, people would probably have some purpose in life without necessarily needing religion for that purpose. And also, like, begs the question, it's like, okay, are you believing this just to have positivity, or are you believing it because you think it's true,
Right.
I think I'm, like, a truth person, so it's just, like...
Yeah, actually, one of my main critiques of the evangelical Christian movement right now is that it is this, like, kind of, like, false positivity, you know, like
Yeah.
prosperity gospel, like Joel Osteen, stuff like that.
Joel-
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not even Christianity from my point of view. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually do believe in like there's a virtue in suffering, and you know, there's a greater good than our pleasant, you know, our present, you know, comfort and stuff like that. So. Okay, well, I do have a podcast I have to go set up my studio
Yeah,
for.
of course.
So I have to go.
Yeah.
But tell me your name again.
Varun.
Varun?
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to
Stop
meet
by
you.
again, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
That's
man. I appreciate it.
conversation.